of movement speed steroids coming out from Passion Gaming. So any types of peels are gonna be very, very important.
I'm really excited to see this Karma. I really want her to get picked because I'm a really big advocate of how strong Karma support is. Mm-hmm. She brings so much to your team. She can kite extremely well. She can chase down. If the Orianna gets locked in, this will be an amazing chase composition they have here. But they're going to go for the Gragas instead, which I still think is a pretty strong composition because Gragas is still very good at chasing. Orianna probably would have been stronger, but she's got a lot of ramp-up time where Gragas doesn't have as much ramp-up time. He can kind of just get right into it. And their team comp right now is so very strong, and they can. What they can want to do is they want to split up the enemy team, and then just chase them around.
Right.
So it's very strong. The Fizz here, the Fizz pick is okay against Gragas. It's a counter pick, like air quotes there, because if a Gragas is any good, he'll just hold his skills until you go in on him, and he'll force you to go in on him, and he'll play safe when his barrel's down. And so when you E on him, he'll just wait, and then he'll just blow you away with his explosive cask. So good matchup. So I don't think the Fizz will be picked in here. The Talon's being hovered over, but I don't think that would really. It would kind of fit their team composition because Talon could go in, but I think the Orianna would be. Yeah, Orianna's way better here.
Yeah.
But she's gonna have a rough laning phase. We did see Bright Nova dominate on that Orianna. So I want to see how this Gragas plays against her. But if they put that ball onto Zac, it's just gonna be a huge AoE shockwave, and there's no clear tank until Vi unless Vi gets ramping up really soon in the game. Whereas there's two massive meat shields on Day Ward, so I'm really excited to see how this is gonna play out.
Yeah, there's certainly a huge wombo combo in the making coming out from Day Wards here. With that ball delivery system on Zac, and then you got the wild growth slapping it on him as well. That can create some mass dispersion there in that team fight, but at the same time you have to pay some respect to Passion Gaming's team comp. They got that pursuit and hunting team composition. They can lock one person down and just stay on them for the whole course of the map, and no matter what you do, they'll find a way to catch up to you.
Yeah, I think with On the Hunt, Talisman of Ascension, and the boost from Karma, Karma gets up to I think 900 move speed. So it's like having home guards for your whole entire team.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary thought, especially when it's a Riven that's on the beneficiary end of that.
Yeah, Riven and Vi both chasing you down with 900 move speed is scary, and that move speed does not go away when you hit them. They can still keep chasing you that fast. So they really need to be careful how they position because there's no Thresh Lanterns to save Jinx here. So they really have to be careful in this game on how they work. But the Wither, however, is very good against this because it's a massive movement speed slow. So I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and they did also kind of kick themselves in the foot right there, banning out the Thresh, so that AoE slow with the box is not going to be available too. So this Rivax on Lulu is going to really need to make sure those glitter lances are on point, because one missed glitter lance is going to be putting him the backline in danger if she's not able to peel for them.
Yeah, and Lulu is just a really strong peel champion. Also, the slow field will be very good when she ults someone. And if she gets that wild growth on Zac in the middle of their team, combined with the distortion and the shockwave, it'll be a massive AoE slow. So there's ways they can work around the amount of move speed that Passion Gaming has. But if Passion Gaming gets ahead, they're going to stay ahead because they can just position themselves. They can rotate so quickly. They can pop all their speed moves at Dragon, and they can be at Baron in 5 seconds.
Right.
So you got to be really careful about how you rotate in this game here, and I'm really excited to see how this is going to pan out.
Definitely. So just looking at these two teams on paper, what do you think are the key factors, for each team? What does Passion Gaming need to focus on to come out on top? And on the other side of the coin, what does Day Wards need to focus on to come out on top in this?
What needs to happen for Passion Gaming is Vi needs to have a really big jungle presence. Vi needs to gank often. She needs to gank bot lane. She needs to snowball Riven. She gets those 2 lanes ahead, because when Karma gets ahead, the faster they get that Talisman of Ascension, the faster they'll be able to execute their composition. And the Gragas is this very safe lane, and he already counters Orianna very hard. Gragas is so good against Orianna. He's going to take a little bit of poke early from her, of course, because he's melee, but at level 6, you can just all in her, and she can't really do anything against it because Gragas has so many repositioning tools, and he's so innately tanky with that with his Duncan Rage. So you can just sustain in lane and bully Orianna out. So I think that a lot of Nasus' attention is going to be towards the mid lane. But the thing is with Nasus is he's not that strong of a ganking jungler. So we might actually see a 2v1 lane swap here because of the fact that Nasus isn't a great 2v1 jungler. He's a great 3v1 tower pusher as well, so we might see that come in.
Yeah, and also I wanted to point out for Day Wards that their team composition is it's going to be really, really difficult to deal with late game with Nasus and Zac. But at the same time, that pre-6 era for them is going to be really rough because, like you said, Nasus isn't the greatest ganking jungler. He's known to just power through his jungle and farm through and just come out when he needs to, wither someone.
Yeah. But, I mean, Nasus is really good. We saw Nasus really popular when that 2v1 tower pushing strat came in, when you came and you just dove the turrets 3v1, or you came and just pushed the turret 3v1. And Nasus was great at that because Spirit Fire is so good at pushing waves. It gives that armor reduction on the laners, so you can just kind of dive them under turret. And most jungle Nasuses are maxing the E first. Also, Zac's a fairly good 1v2 laner because he has so much innate sustain, whereas Riven is not a very good 1v2 laner. She can't really clear waves under turret. She has no sustain. All she has really is a shield, and you can dive Riven fairly easily, whereas Zac, if you dive him, he has that revive passive. So I'm really interested to see how the lanes play out here. I really would like to see a lane swap to shut down that Riven, but it could go either way right now.
Yeah, right you are. And yeah, we are heading into Game 3 of tonight of the Gold Competitive League qualifiers. My name is Roofster. My co-caster is Burnout. We are watching Passion Gaming on blue versus Day Wards on the red side here. For Passion Gaming, you guys just saw him. I'm Deuce playing Riven again up in that top lane. J Flem will be playing Karma support, and 626 will be playing Sivir, the Spirit Bear on Gragas, and Essence will be playing Vi in the jungle.
And on Day Wards, we have Revax on Lulu in support. We have Icon Quan on Jinx in the AD carry lane. We have Leona playing Jungle Nasus. We have Hill of Shovel playing Zac. And then we have Bright Nova once again on that Orianna, the mid lane.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see if Bright Nova's Orianna performance will shine through again in this game because, those shockwaves, a couple games back were just amazing and really turned the tide around for a lot of those team fights. And she just got the ball rolling so early, and it just kept snowballing beyond that into the late game.
Yeah, but if anything about how Gragas has played has taught us is that even the greatest Oriannas can be destroyed by Gragas. I mean, we saw Faker on Orianna get destroyed by Nagne when he was playing Gragas.
Right.
So Gragas is actually just so good against Orianna, and I'm surprised that they actually picked the Orianna into the Gragas, but they're more concerned about their late game team composition than the fact that they might lose that mid lane.
Right. Just the fact that they picked up the Nasus and the Zac, that's pretty much Day Ward's betting on the late game, and Orianna being the great all-around champion that she is at all phases of the game. It's a pretty safe pickup as far as balancing out the early game and the late game strengths of her team.
Yeah, exactly. So Jinx and Lulu, they're gonna have a fairly solid time in lane. Lulu has lots of harass. Jinx has that range advantage over Sivir, but then again, they have Sivir. Karma has a lot of poke. They have those boomerang blades. They have the inner flare or inner flame from Karma coming out. So there's lots of poke that can come out from both sides. I mean, the Lulu Glitter Lance and the Zap coming out from Jinx is a lot of poke. So I'm looking forward to see how this plays out. I do think that would be the best interest for Day Wards to actually initiate a lane swap, because I'm not sure how the Riven versus Zac matchup goes, but we'll look and see. So they are starting, the game started up, and we are seeing some pretty standard starts from most players. But the Revax actually did pick up that Doran shield on Lulu, and that was what I was talking about last game, is that a lot of supports have been opting to pick up the Doran shield because it's so good for early trading.
Right. So the poll results are in, and it does look like 55% of you guys think Day Wards is going to come out on top of this, with 44% betting on Passion Gaming. So people didn't like the comeback as much as they like Day Ward's just powerful performance in the other games, just completely obliterating the other competitions. But you cannot discount Passion Gaming. They stick true to their name. Even though they're down, they got the passion to fight their way back, and they proved it last game with that comeback victory.
And Day Ward's living up to their name. They haven't placed any wards yet in the jungle or anything like that, so they're just kind of having a safe level 1, guarding all their entrances to the jungle. They have Zac in the red buff bush. They have Jinx covering all their entrances. And the same thing is going for Passion Gaming. They're just playing very safe level 1s, and it doesn't look like they're going to do a 2v1 lane swap. Very interesting, because I think that Lulu, that Sivir Karma will be able to shove a 2v1 turret very, very, very quickly, whereas, and so would Jinx Lulu, but I feel like Jinx Lulu's going to have an easier time in lane against Karma Sivir than Sivir Karma would have against Jinx Lulu. But anything can happen at level 1, so you never know.
Definitely. Yeah, it looks like both teams are going to just give their respective blues to their junglers right now, and it's going to look pretty standard. And let's see, no big differences in item, but I noticed Vi actually started with the sweeping lens, and Nasus just started with a simple warding totem. I mean, that's probably pretty indicative of what they're planning to do. Vi is just going to be trying to get ganks early, whereas Nasus is just trying to give a heads up to his team. It's just saying, hey, I'm not going to be ganking so much, but I'll be warding around the area, so just watch out for yourselves.
Yeah, I think that what Nasus is going to do is I think Nasus is a little bit afraid that he might get counter jungled, and actually Vi is going to his red buff, or she's going to do an early gank on Orianna here. So actually she's going for the early level 2 gank, and she's not going to be able to hit that vault breaker, and Orianna's just going to walk out of there, and that's going to tell Nasus that she hasn't done red buff yet.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew that she could do that because she had it warded, but that means Nasus is going to be able to go to his red, he's going to be able to ward up and make sure that she doesn't gank him, and he's going to have a pretty easy time clearing his jungle, and that's where Nasus is fairly weak, is at his level 2.
Oh.
He can't really... Oh, and lots of action going down bot lane.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Karma got caught up by that zap, and they got a flurry of free auto attacks onto her, so definitely a lot of pressure from Lulu. Lulu, one of the best harassing supports. She might not seem like it just because you think that she's all about the slows and the shields, but if she uses her E, her otherwise shielding ability, offensively, it does a lot of damage and sets up those glitter lances very nicely.
Yeah, and that's just what I was saying earlier, is that Jinx Lulu has so much damage early game that Karma Sivir can't really do anything against that. Sure, they have a lot of kiting ability and they have the shield from Karma, but they have a lot of abilities to run away and to get away from Jinx Lulu, but there's just no damage right now. Yes. There's no upfront damage until level 6 when they get on the hunt and they can chase people down. So right now, Jinx is going to be ahead of Sivir, and it's showing in the bot lane already. They're spoiling them out.
Yeah, definitely, and that's just Revax's call right there, using the Dorn Shield instead of getting any of the Ancient Coin or the gold income items. That's just telling me that they're banking on a very, very tumultuous laning phase. They want to initiate those confrontations. They want to make things happen, and and as a result of sacrificing the gold, they just want to win the laning phase so that Jinx can farm safely.
Yeah, exactly. And when Jinx gets going, she's very, very strong. And if she can get some kills and assists, she'll be able to reposition herself very, very well in team fights. And it'll be very hard for her to get locked down by Riven. I mean, they're gonna, if with all the move speed bonuses they have, they might be able to catch her out of position. But the Wild Growth is just so good at protecting the AD carry from all ins that if she can get going very, very well, she'll be very hard to kill late game.
Definitely. So as you guys see, we do have a short little pause here. I believe it was just someone disconnected, but hopefully they'll get back in here soon. I'm actually going to use this time real quick to get another bottle of water. Need to replenish.
A summoner has disconnected. A summoner has reconnected. A summoner has disconnected.
All right, I am back, and the pause is sadly still hasn't been lifted yet, but hopefully it won't be too long before we get back into the swing of things. But,
Um, yeah, so I was looking in chat a little bit, and people were saying that Sivir should outfarm Jinx early. Well, yes, Sivir does have AoE, but Lulu and Jinx can zone so efficiently with the Flame Chompers and the Zap and the Glitter Lance. It's just so hard for Sivir to get in the lane because yes, she does have that spell shield, but you don't take your spell shield at level 1. You don't take it at level 2. You need that ricochet to actually start farming. And it's really hard for them to fight back against Jinx and Lulu. So they can get zoned very easily, and then they can build up that CS advantage, and they can build up that damage advantage, and it'll be hard for the enemy team to for Jinx and Karma to come back in that lane if they get zoned too hard.
yeah, absolutely right. I mean, people think that's just because that spell shield can block a spell that they have a distinct advantage, but it's all about the trading potential. You know, you gotta factor in the distance you have to move to auto attack the other AD carry, and Jinx has that advantage over Sivir if she wanted to. She can just switch to her rockets, and she's outranging them, and not to mention you got to worry about the flame choppers being tossed behind you. So you don't want to use the spell shield unless you absolutely have to, and if you absolutely think you're going to get locked down by that next spell.
Yeah, and so a little bit of trading going on top lane. Zach's going to be able to sustain that up. He's going to be able to trade back with Riven very nicely. Riven did actually opt to start Doran's Blade this game. She started the shield last game. I don't think it paid off for her too well. She didn't really enjoy that. She didn't have a great time. And exactly, they're just zoning bot lane very, very hard, and they're stopping them from being able to get near those creeps. Meanwhile, Orianna is actually doing a great job zoning Gragas from the mid lane and just really stopping him from being able to farm any creeps.
Yeah, and you know he had to go all the way out. He just throws a barrel just to get a couple CS, and then has to walk all the way around. I don't think he even was in range for the EXP there. But meanwhile, up at top lane, Riven just going really aggressive onto the Zac right now, and
Yeah. The thing is that Zac is really reliant on his blobs to like sustain a lane, but the fact is that Riven is so mobile, she can really deny Zac from picking up his blobs fairly easily. So under turret, he'll be able to sustain up, he'll be able to pick up those blobs, and Riven is going to start to lose trades to him once he starts picking those blobs up. So I'm looking to see what'll happen when he can start like harassing her more. Like he's already starting to harass her a lot. Once he gets more levels in his Q, it'll be really hard for Riven to harass back because that slow is really strong. He can get away with his elastic slingshot, and she's already being forced to go back because she knows she can't trade with them.
so it's pretty a pretty good side of relief. Actually, Orianna gets the ignite onto the Gragas and actually gets that first blood. Nasus is coming around, but it's gonna be a little bit too late. It's gonna be a little bit of a trade-off there, but they do win out on top with that first blood going to Orianna, and Leona's just gonna be a second too late to help her out there.
Yeah, and actually, the barrier was forced bot lane onto Sivir, so lots of harass going down from Jinx and Lulu, and also what happens here in mid lane is Gragas is actually using his E way too much to try and farm, and it's really costing him a lot of harass. He's throwing out his barrels and he's trying to E into the creep wave to farm the low creeps, but it's actually costing him. What you want to do early game as Gragas is leave your barrel as long as possible, and then blow it up at the last possible second because of the fact that it'll make the cooldown shorter, and then you can use it again to farm, especially against a ranged champion. And you don't really want to be body slamming into the creep wave,
Right.
especially against an Orianna who can dissonance you.
Yeah, and they did change the body slam where if you're just using it, they increase the cooldown, but the cooldown is shortened if you do body slam a champion. So trying to give a little bit more of a decision-making dilemma for Gragas players, not making them just throw out body slams all willy-nilly all the time.
They did make it better for Gragas that if you they changed it so that the body slam doesn't disperse damage over multiple champions like it used to, like over multiple targets.
Right.
So if you still E into a creep wave, it would do the total damage to all the creeps, but now it'll do the same damage to every creep. So that's kind of where they went with it. And in the top lane, Zac is just a little bit out trading Riven still, and it's just because of the innate sustain that he possesses.
Yeah,
And then the bot lane. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying Zac got that early chain vest just to try and keep himself a little bit more protected there, but Nasus is going to run down bottom, but speed boost thanks to the Inspire from Karma. It's gonna keep that Sivir at safe distance.
And you're seeing exactly what I was talking about here. The CS disparity in the bot line is 45 CS, 46 CS almost. So Sivir and Lulu doing a great job of zoning here and just out farming the Karma Sivir lane.
Yeah, it's
Revox is doing a great job here zoning.
yeah. Jinx does have about 28 CS over the Sivir, but on the other side of the coin, Riven has just about 13 CS over Zac right now. But there's just so much trading going on up there. Both top laners don't want to give up that they're weaker than the others, so they're just demanding their own the attention up there.
Yeah, and Gragas did pick up the blue buff, so he will be able to kind of start to farm up easier against Orianna. He's doing very well in the CS. He's got the same CS there. He did die to Orianna. He's not that far behind her, so he will be able to come back, and he will be able to out farm her eventually, because he can just shove wave a turret, and then he'll be able to all in her when he hits level 6. It just might take him a bit longer to get to that level 6 because of the fact that he died early.
Right. So definitely every single lane just playing to the best of they can without putting themselves in danger, because it's getting to that point. Vi is going to get dangerously close to getting that assault and battery. Meanwhile, at bottom, we have some trades going on. It's so much burst going on. Actually, they did get level 6 before Passion Gaming did. The Wild Growth does go down. Ron Quan saving him out a little bit. Here comes a super mega death rocket. A flash going forward from Revax, and the zap does miss, and both members of Passion are going to walk out of there, and they used a lot.
Riven is going to go very low here top lane, and Zac's just going to pick up that kill, and that's the power of how much sustain Zac has in that lane. And Riven doesn't have that Vamp Scepter yet. She can't sustain up in lane like Zac can, so all the harass that's going down onto Zac, he's healing up, but all the harass is giving back to Riven. It's just she can't do anything against it.
Yeah, it's some great play coming out from Hill of Shovel Zac. You know, he's one to get kills by himself just playing that Zac in the top lane, and he definitely is very, very comfortable on that champion, and it's showing right here. I think the last 2 games that we've seen him, he's gotten a kill on his laning opponent by himself. So, doing a wonderful job on him.
Yeah, just playing very well. Zac is actually a fairly underrated champion. He is very tanky. He does good amount of damage. It's just that it's so hard to pick up your blobs in laning phase that it makes your early laning really difficult, because you can't just spam out your skills and harass like you used to be able to. He's still very strong. He fits into the tank meta very well because he's this big bruiser who can get to your backline very easily and just do tons of damage. So I'm looking to see. I think Zac will be picked up more and more frequently now, especially when the constant being Shyvana and Mundo are always banned. Zac will be picked up more.
Right. And Spirit Bear trying to bait out Bright Nova here just a little bit, doing lots of damage. He does have Leona coming in here. Does throw that Wither down this to throw him back a little bit, but Spirit Bear is going to be forced out of this lane. Doesn't want to stick in there for a command shockwave to land on him.
Yeah, Gragas is just taking way too much unnecessary harass. He it looks like he didn't take scaling AP cliffs, which is pretty common on Gragas. So at level 8, with scaling AP cliffs, you can usually one-shot the caster minions with your barrel roll. And so he didn't do that, so he's kind of starting to take too much poke because he's trying to body slam into the creep wave, which is like he's been sitting around like 20% HP for half the time he's been in lane. So just needs to be a little bit more careful when he's farming.
Definitely, and yeah, he's trying to bait out that Orianna a little bit, but here comes Vi down at the bottom. The Vault Breaker goes in. Here comes the Assault and Battery as well. The Wild Growth is enough to keep him alive for now, but On the Hunt is giving them the boost. Here comes Nasus to save the day. Then the Super Mega Death Rocket just to throw a little bit more insult to injury there. But Leona is going to keep them at bay, and again, no kills down at bot lane despite all the action going back and forth.
Yeah, and that's just a great escape. The assault battery was used. They burned a lot on both sides. Nasus is out farming Vi quite heavily in the jungle, actually. 17 CS up on Vi. And Jinx is quite heavily out farming Sivir. Every lane is winning in CS but top lane, but Hill Shovel did pick up that kill on Riven. So every lane is winning for day wards, and that's exactly what you need if you have a Nasus jungle.
Yeah, and so we do have a pause here. I'm Deuce, disconnected, and that's probably why the pause is in, just waiting for him to come back in. But Yeah, just like you said, every single lane has an advantage over their own right now, and I mean, top lane, Hello Shovel is losing at CS, but like you said, he does have that kill. Almost got that Sunfire cape completed, and once he gets that, it's only gonna be a matter of time before he gets that Spirit Visage and stays up in the top lane forever.
Yeah, and Zach is just so strong when he gets those two items.
Hmm.
He's going to be able to be so tanky, and he puts out so much damage. And it's just so hard to deal with him when he gets big. Like I remember when Zach was before nerf, and he could like 1v5 your entire team because he could pick up all his blobs, he would
Right.
bounce around with all that tenacity, and you just couldn't stop him. He's easier to pin down now and stop from bouncing all over your whole team, but he still does the exact same amount of damage,
Hmm.
and it's really hard. And he still sustains for the same amount. They never changed how much he sustained from his passive, so you can still pick up all those blobs. It's just easier to deny the blobs, but he's still a strong late game champion.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it does look like down at the bottom lane, Flem has that Sightstone advantage over the Lulu, who invested in that Doran Shield for those early skirmishes, and they haven't really reaped the benefits of that yet. They have yet to get some kills down in that bot lane. They have had some couple of close calls, and I mean, granted are winning in CS, so there's definitely got to tip their heads off for that. But who knows if further down the line when the gold is going to start to matter a little bit more between the differences of Karma and Lulu, there could be some comebacks coming from Passion Gaming here on that end.
Yeah, and I mean, you can never count out Passion Gaming as team comp because they can just run away from anything. If you try and engage on them, they can just run. They can leave. They can get out of there, and if they're ahead, they can just chase you down. And so it's really it's really hard to judge what you could do against this team because there's so much opportunity to escape and also so much opportunity to chase. They have the Gragas body slam to chase you down. They have broken wings. They have Valor. They have the Vault Breaker. They have Assault and Battery on the hunt. And there's just so many things they can use at their disposal. And really, when you think about it, the only mobility they really have on Dave Ward's is the Elastic Slingshot. So a very sedentary team against a very mobile team.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And both mid laners going the same items. They're both going to be going to Athene's Holy Grail, and that's just such a great item to start out with if you're the AP mage carry. And if you don't need to get HP, it's such a popular item nowadays, and I even get it on support sometimes too because it's got the best stats that you need if you have if you're spamming abilities all the time.
Yeah, it's really good on Gragas, really good on Orianna. It's such a strong tool because it gives you not only does it give you increased mana regen and ability power and CDR, it also has a really good passive where it gives you a 8% of your total mana on kills or assists. So if you're ever low and you're running away from someone and you really need that mana really bad, and you get that assist, you can just help you survive because of that. So
Right.
it's got a lot of interesting nuances to the item, and it's just a really great starting item for most mages.
Definitely. And yeah, we'll see if Passion Gaming will be able to claw their way back in. I mean, they're only down 200 gold, so it's not that far. It's not that far off for them at all. No team has an advantage. You could argue. So, interested to see the next big team fight, which is probably going to be around that dragon area. As people are starting to get their level 6 ultimates, and they're going to be starting to push for some objectives and trying to catch people out.
Yeah, and it's really going to be interesting to see which team is going to try and initiate that dragon fight because there's so much potential for the Orianna team to kind of go in, but for Bright Nova and Zach and Hope Shovel and Zach just jump in and pop that shockwave on him. But then on the other side, there's so much escape potential. They see Zach charging up that slingshot. They pop the Mantra E. They pop the on the hunt, and they just get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be very interesting to see what will develop that dragon fight.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising to see mid lane. Orianna's playing very aggressive, but here comes Vi, and an exhaust does go down Ron Quan. The exhaust does not. Oh, it is going to be enough to keep him alive. Jay Flem is going to live by just the skin of her teeth, and another Vault Breaker is going to set up a double kill for 626. But meanwhile, at top, Leona and Hill of Shovel are able to take down I'm Deuce. So a 2-for-1 trade overall.